Section 1.2, the tally numeration system. The tally numeration system is a simple additive numeration system based on two symbols. We have a single stroke, which represents 1 as a Hindu Arabic equivalent. Then we could have 4 single strokes with 1 diagonal to represent 5 in the Hindu Arabic numeration system. Note, 5 may also be written as 4 strokes with a diagonal going the opposite direction. The direction of the diagonal makes no difference. The tally numeration system is called an additive system since the value of the numeral is equal to the sum of the face values of the symbols used to express the numeral. Examples: using addition to evaluate a tally numeral. Okay, there, number 1. If you look at that tally numeral, okay, we have 5 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1, which would equal 8. If you take each one of the symbols, you have 1, 5, and 3 ones, makes 8. Now if we look at number 2, in this case you end up with 3 groups of 5 and 2 groups of 1. So this would be 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 1 plus 1, or 17. Now remember, the blue part is the thought process and does not need to be written out. Now what about if we use counting to evaluate a tally numeral? Well, then we could count by 5, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 to give us an answer of 14. For number 2 here, we can start by counting by 5s. 5, 10, 15, 20, 21. So 21 is our final answer as a Hindu Arabic equivalent. Again, the blue part may be the thought process. Now let's use multiplication and addition to evaluate the tally numeral. If we look at number 1 here, what do we have? We have 3 symbols for 5 and 3 symbols for 1. So this could be 3 times 5 plus 3, which is 15 plus 3, or 18. Number 2 here, we have 4 symbols for 5, 1 symbol for 1. So this would be 4 times 5 plus 1, 20 plus 1, 21. And again, the blue part, thought process. Now, practice problems from page 4. You may want to pause the video here a second, try to express each of the following tally numerals as a Hindu Arabic numeral equivalent, and then press play to continue. Alright, number 1, if I used addition, this would be 5 plus 1 plus 1, which would equal 12. In number 2, it doesn't matter which of the 3 methods you use. Now I'm going to use counting. So this is 5, 10, 15, 20, 21, 22, 23. So the answer is 23. And if I wanted to use multiplication and addition for number 3, I would have what? 5 groups of 5 plus 1. So 5 times 5 plus 1, 25 plus 1, 26. Now, it doesn't matter which strategy you use to find the Hindu Arabic equivalent. Just so you use one of the strategies, come up with the correct answer, because everybody thinks differently. All right, now here's 3 more problems on the same page. Pause the video, try to work 4, 5, and 6 here. Now again, I will use the 3 different methods. You could use the same method on all 3, and you may not use the same method I would use. But number 4 here, I'm going to do counting again. So addition. This is 5 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1, which is 8. If I use counting for number 5, 5, 10, 15, 16, 17, 18. If I use multiplication and addition, it'd be 4 times 5 plus 2, which would be 20 plus 2, which would be 22. Okay? Just showing you the different strategies. You may use whichever strategy you wish. And again, remember the blue part is the thought process. Now, let's go the other way. Express each of the following Hindu Arabic numerals as a tally numeral equivalent. So in this case, I start with 12. What do I want to do? Well, I have 5, 10, 5 plus 1 plus 1. This is using the idea of addition. Now, for number 2, I have 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 31 would give me 1, 32 would give me 2, 33 would give me the third. This is using the idea of counting to come up with the tally numeral. All right, number 3, 27. This time we could use division. How many 5s are in 27? Well, 27 divided by 5 is 5 remainder 2. So you're going to have 5 5s and 2 1s for the remainder. Again, remember, the blue part doesn't need to be written out. Now let's try 4, 5, and 6 on page 4. Want to write it as a tally numeral. Now again, if I use addition for number 4, that's 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 gives me 18. That's using purely addition. Now if I want to use counting for number 5, there's 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, and we're done. So it would be 7 sets of 5. Now if I use division for number 6, 5 into 42 goes 8 remainder 2. So I'm going to end up with 8 5s and 2 1s. Any of those methods are fine for writing a tally numeral equivalent. Now, you may now pause the video, work the test your understanding problems on page 4, and check your answers in Appendix A before continuing to section 1.3.